To Boldly Flee, Episode 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we were really doing that, we would have watched Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. But
It's a great movie. I've heard it's rough.
A lot of people in the Star Trek fandom like it. I am not.
I've never met a Star Trek fan that likes it.
Really?
Yeah. I try to avoid Star Trek fans, so.
I mean...
Got them.
Yeah. I don't think they're any worse off than any other fandom at this point.
Yeah, I just don't talk to anyone. If they say they're a fan of something, I go, oh, better get the fuck out.
No kidding. But yeah, to boldly go where many have gone before, we're going to talk about some classic TOS Star Trek today.
This was the first time I'd watched, like, any of these.
You didn't like it, I take?
I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
There's, like, a bit of racism every once in a while.
Yeah, there's some stuff in there, and we'll talk about it once we get into the actual Star Trek stuff. I'll talk a little bit about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that was going on and what led to certain things. But, yeah, no, definitely. But, yeah, Star Trek and Sanji. Yeah. Look at that fucking nice eyebrow. Okay, let me pull up.
Your favorite character, Chopper? Yo.
What?
So, have you watched anything else this week? Yes, you did.
Yeah,
you finally watched some Deep Space Nine?
No, I'm still far away. So I can't. Well, I could, but I'm not going to start Deep Space Nine until I reach halfway through season 6 of TNG, because that's when it starts chronologically taking place. So
you've been watching TNG?
Yeah, I watched most of the second season this week. I had watched a couple episodes last week, but I finished off the second season, got halfway through the third season, and I'm also halfway through the third season of Enterprise. Or second.
Keep watching Enterprise?
Well, yeah.
Did it get better?
No. No, not yet. In fact, I don't know if I'd say it's gotten worse. It's gotten better in some aspects, but season 2, it's like it went from being kind of entertaining episodes that really didn't have a solid foundation to just being kind of like some plain boring episodes that don't necessarily have a solid foundation. So, but there's a couple alright ones. Supposedly, season 4 is like when the series gets really good, and then the finale fucking sucks. And I know the finale of that series, or at least part of it. So I'm not looking forward to that episode. But aside from that, I don't know. It's interesting to watch. I get something out of it. But TNG has gotten much better in season 3. It started kind of picking. It's like midway through season 2, it started to kind of like get there. Like it was like, oh, okay, they're kind of working towards something. And then it had a couple of decent episodes. And then season 3 happened, and it's been just much better written, better directed episodes. Because the first 2 seasons of The Next Generation were heavily bogged down by Roddenberry, who is the creator of Star Trek. And he's
a hack.
Yeah,
he's not a hack. He has some good ideas.
Yeah, I'd say he's important to Star Trek, but yeah, he's far from a perfect human being, to say the least. But yeah, he just had certain ideas that were holding the show back. They were like the scripts they were using. They were using a bunch of scripts from the written for like this failed relaunch of Star Trek called Phase 2, because there's writer strikes going on during the first 2 seasons. So it was just a lot of behind the scenes stuff that kind of kept it held back. And then Gene Roddenberry died, and then they were like, we can make a good show. Yeah, we can do shit now. So that's what they've been doing. I think he was alive for season 3 still, but he was declining in health rapidly.
He was on the way out.
Yeah, so it's been overall much better. And from what I hear that season 3 is one of the best seasons of Star Trek. The Next Generation, not just Star Trek, the original series. Season 3 is the worst.
Is it?
It's pretty bad.
That was the last season, right?
Yeah, that was the last season. Which I'll briefly talk about seasons 2 and 3 a little bit. I won't like dive deep into episodes, but I might talk about like the broad strokes of behind the scenes that led to its cancellation. But yeah, Star Trek, and then I watched the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, and I hadn't watched it since I was a kid, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah,
it is not good.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I didn't like it as a kid, but maybe because I'd seen a little bit of the show.
So growing up, when I was like 3 to 5, I watched some Star Trek The Next Generation, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the TV shows, but I was at such a young age that it's like I don't remember it. Like when I was watching some of season 1 of TNG, I was getting some like kind of like nostalgic awakenings. I was like, have I fucking seen this episode before? And I'm sure I'll probably do the same thing once I eventually go through the series for Buffy, because I want to like Buffy. Maybe I don't, because it's written by Joss Whedon.
But there are good people attached to it.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to give the series an honest shot, see if I like it. I hear the final seasons of Buffy aren't so good. I
think they're fine. I think a lot of people don't like a lot of the finales of those seasons, like the overarching stories, but the more episodic ones are still good. I think they're all like fine though. I think that Angel in general is a much more consistently good series though, which I think that starts taking place after season like 3 or 4 of Buffy.
Okay.
But like both are fun shows. I'm like, do I want to rewatch it? It's by Joss Whedon.
Yeah. But I watched the movie, which I didn't realize Joss Whedon had also made the movie, and then I saw his name in the credits.
Oh, he's just everywhere.
Yeah, and then I was like, it's just bad. I forgot there was a part where fucking Buffy said that she was a fucking like slave in Virginia at one point. And I'm just like, yikes! What were they thinking?
They weren't.
Oh my god. But yeah, don't watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer from 1992. Okay, fair. Watch One Piece instead.
Watch One Piece instead. Yeah, I read 100 chapters. My usual 200. It's both like I've hit the wall where I'm like, my body has been like, you've read 600 chapters in a month, and I'm like, oh, you're right. It's like hard for me to read. I pushed through it because I really, really liked. I really liked Fishman Island.
Yeah, like I said, I guess we can briefly, without diving super deep into spoilers, I like pretty much everything about Fishman Island except for the villains, and I like the concept behind the villains, like thematically. Yeah. I just don't like that they kind of amounted to just being kind of basic, easy fodder for them to just kind of
even show. Then, like, I was fine with like an easy fodder like arc because I like everything else about it. I like thematically where it goes. And I'm like, it's fine if they just beat the shit out of someone for once. And I thought there was some interesting, like, easy ways to make some of the characters lose partial of their powers. Like, I thought it was... I think that it was fine that they were all really weak because they were all surrounded by water, too. So it's like, Luffy can't fucking do anything because he's underwater.
Yeah, that aspect didn't really bother me. But I like a lot of, like... I like the Fishman Island stuff. I like learning about Fishman Island. I like learning, like, the flashbacks with Fisher Tiger and, I'm forgetting the queen's name.
Ochinobe or something like that.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Horty. I'm definitely not a big fan of Mr. Slap. I want to fucking marry the princess guy. He's probably
pretty scary.
Top 10 yikes characters from One Piece. But
yeah, but then I really, really liked Punk Hazard. Yeah. I thought Punk Hazard was fantastic. And like Chopper has some really good moments in that.
Yeah.
You don't like Chopper in that one?
I've just got an issue with how Oda decides to tackle Chopper's story. I feel like I want more from it than has it given to me, because it's like, Chopper needs to solve this problem. We'll just kind of have him off screen and kind of create some artificial tension where he's like, yeah, I gotta make this medicine. And they don't really like dive into it, and it just it doesn't do it for me. But
it's fair. Yeah, and the character they're with now, I really like.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then I watched Real Steel.
Oh, I haven't watched that movie in a long time. I remember thinking it was fine.
I thought it was kind of bad. Like, not it wasn't terrible. It was like,
yeah, I'm sure I probably wouldn't be ecstatic about it now.
I didn't like them. Just the robot fight seems cool, and then everything else was just like, eh.
Yeah, isn't it like
it's
I'm a father. Yeah, I need to connect with you, my son.
And it feels like even more hollow than those stories usually feel.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, great.
I was probably distracted by the boxing robots when I watched it. That's fair. I was like 13.
Yeah. And then I also watched a movie called Be My Cat. It's a found footage like horror movie.
I think I've heard of this.
About this guy who's like, this movie is for Anne Hathaway.
I've seen like YouTube videos of it floating around, like people talking about it, but I haven't watched.
He's like the director also plays the main character, and he's like really, really, really creepy, and he's really good at being creepy. So that is like definitely really cool. Like he nails that performance. But it was like, I thought a lot of the scenes like went on too long, and like just in general. It lost me a lot, and I didn't think that pretty much anyone else in the movie was very good. So the scenes where he's pretty much just monologuing like to the camera, like Anne Hathaway.
He's supposed to be like a fucking like Bjork stalker kind of character.
Yeah. He's like, I'm making this to prove that I'm a great director, and you need to be in my movie.
He should have made it a horror movie where he was eating a picture of Jason Segal's face every day.
We should make that movie. About that guy. And yeah, that's pretty much all I like played Magic. We've been like doing stuff this week. I built a bed frame. I finally have a bed frame in my room. Oh. My room's over there, behind the wall.
Yeah.
If we just knocked over the wall, we'd see the bed frame.
For a brief moment, my brain processed the bed frame as the chair that's behind me.
We built that bed frame right there.
I don't know if the audience can see it.
Yeah, that's the thing we hit Thomas with. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah. And I've been playing some video games. I need to get back into movies. But I've just been doing other stuff. Yeah. I've been working. And I had some rough days of work, just like long. So I was like tired. So I'm just like, I'm just going to lay down today.
Same here. I think that's why I've been going through Star Trek so adamantly.
Star Trek's like really easy to watch.
Yeah.
At least I thought it would be.
TOS is...
They're a little long. I'll say this just right off the bat. I don't think any of those episodes felt like they needed to be 50 minutes.
I agree.
I was just like, oh my God.
Because future Star Trek episodes are like 44 minutes or something like that. And those extra like 5 minutes, I felt them. Yeah. Especially since I've been watching those for the last like 2 weeks, and then I like hopped into TOS and I was like, oh my God.
And I feel like a lot of the later series, they tackle more dense, like in general, their storylines for episodes they're more.
Yeah.
A lot of these are like super simplistic, and we're just like, I like a lot of the ideas. Yeah, I guess we can. Oh, do we have questions?
Yeah, sure.
We got none from Pierre. No, he's goddamn out there.
Yeah. Let me hop over to Instagram real quick.
Where we've been getting flooded with messages.
Alright, let's see.
I have some questions.
Oh, Pierre has some questions for us.
Okay.
Who would win in a fight? Zoro from One Piece or Quagmire from Family Guy?
Okay, who would win in a fight? Zoro from One Piece or Quagmire from Family Guy? I'm gonna have to say Zoro from One Piece.
Yeah. I feel like a more appropriate matchup would be Sanji versus Quagmire.
Sanji would be pissed.
He would.
Because Sanji, like, respects women. More so than Quagmire.
For nefarious reasons, but he does respect them. No, Quagmire has the nefarious reasons, and he doesn't respect them.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
probably Sanji.
Okay, is a hot dog a sandwich?
No. A hot dog is not a sandwich. It's a hot dog. Like, I understand the reasoning. I guess you could argue that it's a sandwich, but...
Like the same logic that every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. Could you say that every hot dog is a sandwich, but not every sandwich is a hot dog?
I would say...
Sure.
I would say a hot dog is a sandwich because I have used hot dog buns as makeshift sub bread, so...
Also, though, like, does a hot dog imply that it has the bun? Or, like, what if you just have the hot dog?
Well, if it's just the dog by itself, it's not hot if it doesn't have the jacket.
That's not true. They're still called hot dogs and you buy them at the store.
I don't know.
So, it depends, but sure, sometimes.
Quick, you need to come up with a superpower for a hipster teenager to have in some theoretical story called Life is Strange Season 3. What superpower does this theoretical hipster teenager have?
Life is Strange Season 3. Hipster teenager has the power to melt people's organs.
My hipster has the power to make shaggy rugs grow in length.
Yo. They control... It's like they can control only things that, like... Are really like they
Old
can
antique rugs.
old antique rugs and like people's nose hairs.
No, only if it's got the rug particles in it. They carry like a bunch of little like just
They
like,
throw it at people and then suffocate them.
Mason jars filled with fibers from old rugs
Yeah.
that they can throw at people while riding down the street on their longboard.
I hope the mic's picking up.
I hope it's not.
Probably not. Okay, there's my questions. I was trying to type them frantically when I heard you guys did the questions.
Okay, well, thank you, Pierre.
Fast enough.
Alright. Let me read a couple from Tito. Let's see. If animals could talk, who would be the best to talk and the worst to talk to? AKA, like, the most annoying.
I would want to talk to, like, a whale. Just because, like, I just want to talk to some, like, deep sea creature and be like, yeah, so what's it like? You know, what's it like?
It's dark and wet down there.
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, that sounds awesome. And then I would hate to, maybe not to talk to, but, like, I don't want to talk to ants. There are children outside. Ah! I don't want to talk to ants. I feel like ants know too much. They have too much ground to cover. Like, it's fine for me to...
I feel like ants would constantly talk about their queen.
Yeah. It'd just be like... be like talking to Sanji all the time.
I probably want to talk to an elephant. Elephants are cool. They're nice.
They never forget.
They never forget.
So don't you dare wrong them.
And don't make any 9/11 jokes around them. They're still sensitive to it. They haven't moved on like most of the rest of us.
That's why they're afraid of mice.
It is.
Some mouse was on that plane.
And then, I guess the most annoying to talk to.
People. Humans. There you go.
Honestly, yes. But I guess some people wouldn't accept humans as animal, and to those people I say, fuck you, we're animals. Okay. Let's see. The most boring and or useless fictional character in real life. I won't say boring, but useless fictional character in real life. I'm gonna say Shinji Ikari. Why? Because he'd be fucking useless.
He could work at, like, McDonald's or something. What about fucking that bitch from the kids book? She always fucks up. I think her name's, like, Amelia Bedelia. She always takes everything, like, super literally. And she always just fucks up everything? Yeah, her.
Never read those.
No.
Let's see. Probably like Corcus, maybe.
Corcus.
Corcus,
yeah. Let's go with Corcus.
From Berserk, for those who don't know.
Or just anyone. If you know another Corcus, they're probably useless too.
If I have a son, I'm going to name him Corcus, just as a big fuck you.
You ruined my life, so I'll ruin yours.
Can you imagine, 21st century, someone has the name Corcus? I wonder if anyone does have the name Corcus. Maybe I'm being insensitive.
I'm going to look up Corcus on Facebook.
Well, I'm sure you'll probably find some Berserk fans with that.
Yeah, but I'll look for Corcus.
Like Corcus Miller? Corcus Johnson?
Found Don Corcus. But it looks like nobody else. Alright, last question.
Let's see. You can make any movie a musical.
Serbian film. Just hands down. That'd be so fucking cool.
I hate the baby track. It's just the, angry piano and the baby crying. Is the baby cry? I don't fucking remember. I repressed that shit.
Yeah, no, I don't want a Serbian film to be a musical, actually. You know what I'd actually want, though? I want to see a Lupin the Third musical.
Wouldn't be bad. I could see that.
Or a One Piece musical. I'm gonna be the king of the pirates!
There's some sequences, not in the manga, but the anime for Whole Cake Island decided to creatively take some of, Big Mom's, associates' dialogue and turn it into, a musical number. And it works with that arc because it goes for, a kind of, scary Disneyland sort of feel. But, yeah. If I had to make any movie a musical, I would take the version of Little Shop that isn't a musical. That would make it a musical. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd take the version of Little Shop that is a musical and make it not a musical.
Dude, the Roger Corman Little Shop fucking sucks. I wouldn't want that to be a musical.
Roger Corman.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Fuck, I don't know. Big.
Big would be a good musical.
Wouldn't be a bad one.
I wonder if Big has a musical. I wouldn't be surprised if it had
honestly. Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Groovy. Let's talk about Star Trek.
There's an Evil Dead musical that exists.
Let's talk about Star Trek, the original series. We're talking about first episode, 4 or some shit.
The
Enemy Within.
Yeah, The Enemy Within. It's 6 on Netflix. It's 5 if you don't count the pilot. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. But
this is probably my least favorite episode that we watched.
Might be mine. There was I thought a lot of the ideas behind these episodes, I'm like, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, I like
the dumb dog.
Yeah, the dogs are the best part of this episode. That or the shacking. He goes way over the top. There's some bits at the end where I was getting some Cage levels of I want to live, but
let me live.
But fucking yeah, I think. So first of all, this episode had the perfect opportunity. So a big problem that the original series has, as you may have noticed, is it's at best
it loves showing women's butts.
Yeah, its demeanor towards women
classic.
Is top towards the problem list with the series. But one of the problem I was talking about is the fact that it's kind of the Kirk, Spock, and Bone show. It prides itself
occasionally.
Yeah, it prides itself on having a diverse cast.
But then the diverse cast doesn't do anything.
Yeah. And that might have partially been due to just the executives at the time. Michelle Nichols, who plays Uhura, she she famously, like, they were keeping her letters from her, like somebody high up had ordered, yeah, don't just throw all of her letters away. And she was going to quit the show because of that, but then she met Martin Luther King, and he was like, I fucking love Star Trek, don't do that. And she's like,
Martin Luther King loves Star Trek.
fuck. Alright. So she decided to stay. And yeah, I mean, obviously the Star Trek fan base over the years has, like, kept her busy with conventions and stuff, but obviously the show didn't really give her any more material to work with from that point.
Her character never returns in anything, right?
I mean,
Or like
she does stuff occasionally. Like she's so there's like 2 layers to the crew, or 3. I guess there's like Kirk. He's number 1. He is the one who gets the most spotlight.
Yeah.
And then there's Spock and Bones, McCoy, and then there's the rest.
The rest, yeah.
And, well, then there's, like, I guess, like, Sulu, Uhura, and, like, fucking, what's his name? Chekhov. But Chekhov wasn't introduced until season 2.
Yeah. I guess Scotty's there a lot. He's
Scotty,
like, Scotty.
Scotty is, like, in between.
I'm Scotty, guys.
Aside from the main trio, he's the one who usually gets, like, the other
Hey, guys, I'm
spotlight.
Scotty.
Yeah.
That's all he does, though. He's just like, hey, I'm Scotty.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
I gotta do the fix.
Yeah, there's other episodes where he's more of a character than he was in some of the batch that we watched today. But, that's probably, like, my biggest problem with the series is just the underutilization of the cast. So, yeah, this episode is a prime example of that. It has the perfect opportunity to give some other people, other than Kirk, the spotlight. Even, like, if it were Bones and Spock in this episode. But they're background characters in this episode.
It's just Kirk.
It's just Kirk. And the Kirk we follow is so fucking boring. He's so lame. He's sluggish. He's like, I don't want to make a decision.
There's some interesting ideas there. He's like, he says it, like, I'm losing the will to make decisions. Like, that's really cool as an idea, but it doesn't go anywhere.
And I don't really like, because they obviously spell out the themes of the episode through exposition, which is common. I think it can be done better in other episodes.
Yeah.
But in this one, it was just kind of like particularly just like, all right, you are really just spelling it out when we don't need it, and you're just taking up more of this sluggish runtime.
So, what happens in this episode? I guess we didn't say that.
There's a transporter accident that splits Captain Kirk into 2 opposites.
He's got pathetic version and a bad, brave version, I guess.
And they basically amount it to he's got his compassionate side, which is weak. And he's got his evil side, which is strong. The good leader that Kirk is somewhere in between these 2, which I honestly don't really agree with. I think you can get strength from compassion. Yeah. Just because you're compassionate doesn't mean you're weak. Sometimes if you're compassionate, you might fucking fight back. But yeah, this episode's bad. And on top of just being mostly boring, aside from the shacking and the dog, there's that terrible fucking Yalman plot where they... Yeah,
that was rough.
That whole... They could have established evil Kirk's threat.
Without sexual assault.
Yeah, without victimizing a woman.
Yeah.
And her reaction after is even... it's just like, oh, I wouldn't have even told them if I thought you would get in trouble, when she still thinks it's the Kirk that assaulted her. And it's just like, I don't like this. I don't like any of this. Eventually, her character got written off the show because they didn't want to solidify his relationship with her, because they had a like, aren't they kind of thing going lightly throughout some of the first season episodes, and eventually they were just like, nope, Kirk has to screw aliens across the galaxy. Which, I don't mind that concept for a character. I just wish that they were, like, into...
boys, no?
Both. Like, just they want to fuck
Just
everything.
fucking everything.
Because that feels more genuine. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think Star Trek has written a character like that though. I don't think there's
They
been
just
a
wanna fuck
bisexual. Or I guess that would probably fall into more like, would that be pansexual? Because it's I don't know.
Getting into
It gets
weird semantics. Yeah, no, it's yeah. No, this episode was kind of rough. I like the part where they're just kind of looking for him and he's hiding. I wish that was the whole episode. They were just looking for evil for Kurt. And then the rest is bad. So yeah, no. Didn't like this episode.
Yeah, this one I would give... I'm not going to give scores numerically. I'm just going to say, would I skip it? Or would I recommend it? Or would I really recommend it? Really recommend it would be to, like, non-Star Trek fans. And I really would not recommend this one.
Oh, he just got out. Yeah, me too. I don't. Yeah. Next episode
was The Enemy...
Balance of Terror?
Balance of Terror, which is based on The Enemy Below.
Which one is this?
This is the one with the Romulans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Same thing. Literally the same thing for me. Like, I really like some of the dialogue between Kirk and him, and I really like the ideas behind it, but it's just like, this could have been 30 minutes. So most of these episodes could have been like 30 minutes.
I'm going to give the caveat that's just going to blanket across every episode we talk about here. They all could be trimmed.
Yeah.
They could all definitely be shaved. It's got some of that 60s, just kind of dawdling, just like, yeah, I'm taking our time. But aside from that, no, I think that this is one of the stronger episodes.
I like a lot of the ideas behind it. This one is just...
This one's a little abnormal for the average Star Trek episode. Which is probably why I like it.
What happens in it, Thomas?
Basically, an outpost on Earth Federation territory is attacked, and it's a Romulan who does it. So basically, Kirk has to make the decision to chase him into the neutral zone, and that could start a war. But, yeah. So a big chunk of this episode is kind of him coming to that decision, and the rest of the episode is him basically just having the showdown against...
James, the Romulan, whatever his name was.
I don't remember what his name is. I see him and I think Sarek, because he plays Spock's father when Spock's father is introduced in, I want to say season 2, but, so I'm used to him being Sarek, but,
Is that the human part?
No, Sarek is Vulcan.
Sarek's Vulcan, that's right.
Yeah. He just fell in love with a human. But he says he did it logically, so...
But he's a lying piece of shit.
Yeah. So, yeah. I just like... Because it's not often that we get to see Kirk go up against someone who's, like, kind of somewhat on his level.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kirk kind of gets him at every fucking turn here.
Yeah, but, like, it's close. Like,
yeah.
While a lot of the other episodes are just like, yeah, Kirk's just beating the shit out of people.
Yeah. And I really like the Romulan because he's like, I don't really want to engage. I want to escape, but everyone on my fucking crew is talking about some sense of duty. So,
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so he's just kind of, like, stuck in it. He's like, well, fuck. I don't know. Yeah, you don't get a whole lot of shit battles like this. I like the waiting game. And it's got a little bit of, like, everything that you would want from a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
You know? It tackles, like, there's some real basic commentary, but some commentary on, like, bigotry in here.
Yeah.
Shit like that, you know. Nice space battles.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And I really like the thing at the end where it's like, if we weren't like this, we could have been friends or in another world. I always like those kind of scenarios. Because then I just think maybe they could have been lovers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the episode's better than the previous. I didn't hate it. That was fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Give it like I'd be like, yeah, recommend it. Recommend it to Star Trek fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
you're really into, like, cat and mouse ship battle kind of scenarios, if you're a non-Star Trek fan, you might find this one appealing. But yeah. The next one was the Galileo 7.
Yeah.
This is one I remembered liking more because Monkey. But
I like the idea. I like how much. I didn't realize how much Bones and Spock are just at each other's throats all the time.
yeah,
It's like
Bones is a little racist.
Bones is not even a little. That's pretty.
Yeah,
he's like, "Hey, pointy ear." I'm like, "What the fuck, bro?"
That's kind of a problem that even like at the shit where I'm at currently in. Well, it's kind of a theme of Enterprise. I think they tackle it poorly in Enterprise.
It's like, it's a theme because we show it all the time. It's a theme because we're really racist.
But even in like TNG, there's like just stuff that comes across. It's like, that's racist. I mean, obviously, these are fictional aliens that don't exist.
But still.
That would clearly be racist. Like, fucking, there's a example, where Wesley meets a species of alien that he had met before in like season 1, and he goes up and he's like, "Hey, it's nice to see you again." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I'm not this person you think I am." And it's just like, Wesley, you fucking idiot.
It's because he's like 12.
No, he's 17 at the point that happened.
That's like 12.
Might as well be. But yeah.
But yeah, they just get, it's a landing party of 7. They get stuck on a planet with monkeys.
Yeah.
And Kirk's like, "We gotta go get him," but he has some bitch on board who's like, "No, we gotta go stop the plague in New Paris."
Yeah.
And then Kirk's like, "But monkeys!" And then eventually they escape, but a bunch of people die.
Yeah, the main crux of this episode is kind of looking at Spock's logic and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And
at the end of the episode, he makes a decision with his heart. And then they're like, "Hey, Spock, you made a decision." I'm like, people are dead. Why are you like giving them a hard time? Like, people died.
And it's like, they're like, "You made a reason out of your human emotion." And I kind of agree with Spock. It seemed like the logical choice to make. It's like, you're going to die in that situation. You might as well send off one more SOS. Like, that seems logical to me. It's like, you're desperate because you didn't want to die. And it's like, yeah, it's only logical that he'd want to fucking survive.
Yeah.
But
I also thought this one was fine. I think a lot of the themes it tries to tackle, it just does poorly.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of the weaker ones.
And I didn't like the other characters that were like against Spock kind of thing. They were just like really boring to me.
Boring. It felt a little forced. They're like, "Oh, we had a crewman die." And it's like,
Spock's like,
"I'm trying to save the rest of you."
I understand that you're upset, but I'm like,
he's even like, "Go bury him. Like, bury him while you have time." They're like, "No, you have to say something." He's like, I'm trying to work here.
I'm trying to save our lives, dumbass.
I'll wave goodbye on the way out. He didn't say that. I probably would have said that. But
yeah, I would like, I don't know.
Yeah, this one is...
I'd give it a take it or leave it kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's as, like, bad skippable, but I don't think it's, like, necessary. Unless you want, like, a decent Bones Spock conflict episode. In which case, you'd probably like this one enough. The next one, I believe...
Arena. Gorn. Great episode. I mean, not really, but the Gorn is specific.
The Gorn is classic.
Gorn is classic. Gorn fight, most of the Gorn fight is kind of boring, but some of the Gorn fight is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
In general, I think this episode's just kind of boring, but has some really fun parts to it.
Yeah, basically, the plot of this episode is the Enterprise is chasing away a ship that destroyed a colony, and
they chase it into like this
quadrant of space that has some higher power there. That's basically like, hey,
fuck you. You gotta go fight on this planet.
Yeah,
fuck you.
Go fight your own battles. Don't drag all your needless men into it. Why don't you settle this 1v1? So he takes the captains of both ships to face off against each other. And spoiler alert,
Kirk wins. But then he goes, "I'm not gonna kill him," which doesn't make any sense because he's just like, he doesn't actually learn a lesson from here. He just goes on to kill people later. Like, it's not like a big, I'm like, what?
I don't know. I don't think it's as big of a fucking, like, moral thing as they make it out to.
Yeah.
But he does Unless he's like, I have to kill them. He
Yeah.
usually doesn't. He usually tries to just knock them out.
And then he's like, me and the Gorn will go talk. And then they just don't. They just leave. I'm like, what?
Oh, I don't think he was talking about, like, literally. I think he's like, in the future we have the possibility.
No, they should have done it right then. They should have been like, now you must go have tea.
It's like, look, why'd you blow up that colony?
The
They were
Gorn's
in
like,
your
they didn't have chimichangas.
They were in our territory and they didn't bring chimichangas.
We need chimichangas. I'm a Gorn.
To my understanding, the Gorn are like, have not really been developed more since this episode, which is sad because it's like, why not? They're iconic.
They should be in the next Star Trek movie.
Like, whatever next Star Trek series they do, they should have a fucking Gorn on the ship.
The Gorn should be the captain.
A captain.
They've only had human captains. Is there a human captain in Discovery?
I haven't watched,
I haven't watched
Discovery.
Discovery.
I hear people say it's bad, but
But a lot of the people I hear say it's bad, or the people that say it's bad because like it's pandering to the SJWs. I'm like, have you watched Star Trek before? Like they kind of tried to do that from the beginning. They also try to be fucking sexist as well, but they do a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's really weird that a show can at the same time be so progressive yet so not progressive. Yeah. It's really interesting, but I plan on watching it with an open mind. But
this episode in general, like, I would recommend. I think it's pretty fun for what it is.
Yeah,
it's just like still just too long. All these episodes are just too long.
Yeah, there's a decent chunk of time where Kirk's on the planet surface looking for rocks, and they're like, he's looking for this chemical compound here. Oh, he's found it. Now he just needs to look for the next rock.
Yeah, he's like, what is this, fucking Minecraft?
Yeah. But, yeah, I'd overall recommend this one. A little slow, but they all are.
Yeah.
TOS.
Tomorrow is yesterday, where they go to 1967 or whatever.
This one, I don't think it's like superb quality, but I actually really like this one.
I enjoyed this one quite a decent amount too. I just think it's really fucking stupid.
Yeah, I love the fight that happens when like Kirk's in
where he's just like jumping on
where
them.
He fucking like throws. It just looks like somebody off camera just fucking threw him.
He literally starts running at two guys and then just like jumps.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking like he's planking when he hits them. It's great. I love it. But yeah, so the plot of this episode is that they're trying to warp and they go back in time accidentally.
To like Earth 1967.
And they get spotted by a pilot. And so they're like, beam him aboard because he's got a nuke and he might damage our ship more than we can repair right now because we're in the past. So they bring him aboard and they're like, you can't go back to Earth. He's like, the fuck I can. And then they're like, actually, wait, you have to go back to Earth because you have a kid that goes to Jupiter and is important to the space that we live in. So they're like, fuck. Alright. So they go back to destroy the evidence. And he's like, well, I'm going to stay on Earth. Because they're going to take him back up to the ship. Because I don't know what they're going to fucking do. And then he's like, well, I have to report. It's my duty. And then they're like, no, get back on the ship. We're going to whip around the sun and we're going to drop you off before we launch ourselves into the future at the pinpoint exact moment in time.
Because it's a different time. You'll forget everything.
Yeah. And
they also, at this point, had beamed aboard somebody else who was like, had seen
Yeah. He does nothing.
He does nothing. He sees some soup and he's like, I thought it would be really funny if they just took him with them. He's like, could I come with you? And they're just like, sure. That's what they should have just brought him along.
And stuff from this episode and stuff from later on, shit that happens in the series and the movies, has me questioning some stuff that happens in a future time travel episode that we will be talking about.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway. This episode's fun. It's dumb, but it's fun.
I'd probably recommend this to anyone who likes dumb things. It is funny. Mostly the fight scenes are really fucking funny.
Yeah. But yeah. What was it?
Court Martial.
Court Martial. That is correct.
I like this one too.
Yeah, this one's not bad.
I like Court. dramas, so I'm like, this will be my jam. And it was pretty good. A little too long. Just gonna say that for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
But I like somebody had been messing with the computers. It's like, oh, somebody died all while aboard, and the computers say that Kirk did it on purpose, or not on purpose, but he's responsible. So they're like, we're going to court-martial you. And he's like, but he's not really dead. I thought that was like a fun little twist. I knew it was coming, but it was like, it's like a fun little story. I like how they show the computer, like, they show video of him like pressing it when it's still like a yellow signal, and he's like, what?
Yeah, it's
that couldn't be possible.
Deep fake.
Yeah. I just like his reaction to that. Like, I like a lot of his reactions. I like when he's immediately like, you can be court-martialed or you can take a ground position. He's like, I want a court-martial now!
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm right.
I'm demanding it right now!
He's like, I have no margin of human error. I am 100% correct.
Then every one of his crew is just like, yeah, a normal human would make a mistake. But my captain's
Kirk.
a goddamn god. Which is one of the annoying parts I find about Kirk, but I think it's really funny in this scenario. People like going to court and being like, no, he's a god. He can't fail.
I think this is something that TNG does much better. I like it. Because it's like, obviously they're going for, I have faith in my captain.
Yeah. Like they do that in One Piece.
Yeah.
But like you can still make your captain fallible.
Yeah, like he's a human. He's going to be flawed.
But they make Kirk just like the best at everything.
Yeah, they decide to make him a real Zeus-like character where he's just really good at everything and he likes to fuck everything.
Just likes to fuck.
Which isn't as prevalent in these earlier episodes. It becomes way worse as the series went on. It got to the point where he was getting like
he's like
love interests in every episode.
This episode's just me having sex with 5 people.
And it's just like, why? It's not, we don't need this.
But yeah, like, I think this is a pretty good episode. It's pretty standard for like a court drama.
Yeah.
Nothing unpredictable really happens, but it's handled pretty well. I like the guy who plays his lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's like, books. I like
books. If I had more time, I'd show you my library, 1,000 books.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I recommend this to probably everyone.
Yeah, this is a good episode.
Space Seed.
This is it's
don't like
this is
MacGyver's in this. I don't like her.
Her like, character is
I'm just like
the rock that sinks this episode down. Yeah. This episode, it's decent. I think
bad episode.
What stemmed from it obviously was much better, which is
it is it just like a retelling of the episode kind of, or is it like a sequel?
What happened was,
because I haven't seen Wrath of Khan,
all the movies are sequels, so they're not like Wrath of Khan is the only one that's like a direct sequel to an episode.
Got it.
But yeah, basically, Gene Roddenberry had kind of made the production hell for the motion picture. So when making Star Trek 2, they basically brought in some writers who were not familiar with the series. So the writer for Star Trek 2 basically just went back, watched a bunch of episodes from the first season. This guy's
pretty cool.
And he's like, hey, this is like perfectly set up for a sequel episode that never happened. And is his name Ricardo?
Ricardo, the grandpa from Spy Kids.
He's in like Fantasy Island.
He's the grandpa from.
He's
Spy
great.
Kids.
He's got real great screen.
Montalban. That guy. Yeah, he's great. He's really good in this. I feel like I want to watch Wrath of Khan specifically just to see like the scenes with him and Kirk, because those are.
Yeah, no, he's great in Wrath of Khan too. Like,
but is he Benedict Cumberbatch?
Oh, jeez, way.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure
it's gone. I mean, obviously they were going for something different with that, but I don't like what. I'm not a big fan of Into Darkness. I'm not
a big fan of those first 2 movies.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched them. I think I'm more open to the idea of the first movie, because at least it's not like... it does have that nostalgia factor to it, because it's like, look, the characters you like, and it kind of spends a lot of time just setting that up. But in terms of just copying the villain, it wasn't a big thing. But yeah, Into Darkness is kind of like a hybrid remake of Wrath of Khan in this episode, because they obviously, in that movie, they like wake them up off the ship. Yeah. But
this I think this episode is really good, except for the MacGyver plot. Because it's just like
it's basically she's like,
women are weak. Like, women see strong men, she must like him.
Yeah, because right from the get go, she meets Khan once, and he's like, "Put your hair down," and she's like, "Okay." He's like, I like you. I'm taking what I want. And she's like, "That's fucking hot, man." And it's like, yeah, okay. And it's like,
I'll betray my whole ship. And she does save Kirk.
And it's like, I don't think that writing a character like that necessarily would have been a bad thing, but it comes across as too surface level.
Especially a character, because is she a character at all?
No.
In any of the, yeah.
No.
That's the problem with a lot of Star Trek characters, is that they're just one-off characters.
Yeah, whenever you see a
there was the episode that we missed. There was that one character who was...
It's the fucking Romulan episode with the wedding, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Whenever they're going to get married. I'm like, well, one of them is going to die at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this character's been introduced and they're getting some screen time and they're not a usual cast member. They're in a good act.
They're going to die.
She is the exception.
Yeah, she goes to
Alpha Centauri 5.
Yeah.
And she dies in between this movie. It's not a big... It's like the crux of the plot.
He's like, you killed her!
He's like, you didn't come check on me! And she died!
Is that really the...
Yeah, and he's like, what the fuck,
I told you're the one that you're like, yeah, this will be epic.
Yeah. It's like, fuck. All right. So yeah, that's the main plot, and it begins with a plot hole because he gets off the planet because he finds Chekhov. He's like, I remember you from the Enterprise when Chekhov wasn't part of the crew yet. But yeah, aside from that, this is a good episode minus the MacGyver shit.
Yeah.
Fucking what's it called? I like that Kirk just beats him with a pipe.
Yeah, he's like, I'm 5 times stronger with you. And Kirk's just like, I have a pipe. Yeah. Classic Kirk.
But yeah, so I'd recommend this episode. I think that if you're going to watch Wrath of Khan, you'll probably gain something from watching this episode first.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. I hadn't seen this episode when I first got into Wrath of Khan. But... yeah, I think it serves as a good little intro. Minus the MacGyver shit. But yeah.
So the 3 more episodes to go. This Side of Paradise.
This Side of Paradise.
I like what they want to do with Spock in this, but I just don't really like the episode. I like ideas behind it, but it's the same thing. It's just here's a character. Spock used to know his character. I'm like, you can't just say that. Yeah. You can't just say that to me. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And it's 40 minutes later, I have to leave her. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Maybe if you gave me a couple episodes with her, I don't. Yeah. Or if you had spoken about her.
Or maybe if Ethan, this novel idea here, they'd given more of the episode runtime to developing their relationship.
Yeah, it's literally just we took a walk.
Because it's 2 scenes where
we don't have enough Kirk in this episode.
Yeah, she takes him to a flower, and so basically the plot of this episode,
evil flowers.
Yeah,
symbiote flowers.
There's a planet that has radiation that's hazardous to any humans, and they're like, humans don't live here. Let's just go. Or I forget what they're going.
Well, they humans were supposed to be there, but there's these rays that have killed everyone.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna go scout it out to retrieve whatever, and then they're like, everyone's alive.
Yeah, and it turns out that there's this flower that emits spores that basically
latch onto the host and just feed off of them, but make them really happy and subservient, pretty much.
Just kind of like Kirk and fucking the enemy within. He's just like, got no will to do anything really.
Yeah.
They're all just really happy. Bones starts speaking in a thick Southern accent for some reason.
That's funny. That was
He's
funny.
like, Jimmy boy.
And he's like, Jimmy boy, but nobody else speaks in an accent. He's like, hey, Jimmy boy. I'm like, did they just let the guy do whatever he wanted?
I think his name's Forster Kelly.
That sounds
just going crazy behind the scenes. Oh, God. When they bring him back in the motion pic, Bones is just, he's one of those characters, he's got his issues, but I love him because he's just so funny. I just love his demeanor.
You just love racist people.
No.
No, I get you.
Aside from the Spock stuff, he's not really racist. And he kind of...
It's just when you're racist to, like, one person. Like, you know, how sometimes, you know, whenever you see Pierre... I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I think the show kind of gets into, like... Because I don't think he's necessarily racist against Spock. The point of it, I think, is that the Doctor is very compassionate, whereas Spock is cold and illogical.
So he's just like,
so it's just conflict of interest.
You gotta be nice to people.
Yeah. And he just gets aggressive, and sometimes he just blames it on he's like, your ears are pointy and you're mean. And it's like, Spock's just... Okay. But yeah, like in the motion picture when Bones comes back, like when he's first reintroduced, because it's like getting the crew together after years apart, he's like in the 70s attire at a bar, and he's got like an open shirt and a hairy chest and like a gold chain and like one of those like 70s hats. And it's just like, What do you do in your free time, Bones? Why are you like this? You're a ship doctor.
It's like, doesn't mean I don't got drip. No.
Yeah. Like, he's just such a strange character. But, yeah, I like that. I think Kirk's trying to make Spock angry at the end is pretty funny.
Yeah, he's just like, you're half robot. You're half robot. He's like, I'm not half robot. He's like, yeah, you are.
It's like really like, childish. It's like I don't remember verbatim what he says, but when he first walks in, because he's like, Kirk tricks and he's like, yeah, I've accepted the spore, or he does for a brief minute, but then he gets angry and overpowers it, and he's like, anger, that's how I challenged the spore. So then he's like, yeah, I'm coming down, but once we beam down, we can't beam back up.
And I want to bring my Nintendo Switch for you.
Yeah. He's like, I need you to help me carry the switches down. So he's like, all right. So he beams up, and then immediately he's like, you
have re-computerized.
Yeah, he just like lays into him, and Spock's like,
what? And then he's like, fuck, you hate your dad. He's like, oh.
He's like, your dad's a computer.
So my dad's not a computer, he's a Vulcan.
He's like, no, he's a computer. And he's like, oh, and just fucking throws Spock, and then everybody wakes up, they make him angry. Yeah, I think this episode's got its moments, but
too much Kirk.
Yeah, too much Kirk. It's a little slow.
Should have been a Spock episode, and it was too slow. Yeah, I agree. So it's
Spock
probably like
Bones.
a take it or leave it.
I would have taken more Bones.
Yeah,
too.
just Bones.
Just Bones going around talking.
Yeah, guys. And then he stubs his toe, and he's like, anger.
He just starts talking normally, and he's like, oh, that didn't feel very good.
But yeah, this is another like take it or leave it episode for me.
Yeah. Then
Errand of Mercy.
Errand of Mercy, the Klingon debut, and
they're in brownface.
Yeah, not
which
great.
This character comes back in, I think, Deep Space Nine, as like a cameo kind of thing.
Oh,
like,
does he?
Yeah, it's like an episode or two, and he's not like he looks like a regular Klingon.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
they did them. They still do a certain layer of brown face in TNG where I'm at, but at least.
But at least it's like
they do it a lot lighter when they do it on the white people. Like there's an episode where Worf has like a love interest who's played by a white woman. And
yeah.
It's not. I don't want.
It's racist, but a little more clean.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that sentiment.
But it was just really sad because I like a lot of the ideas of this movie, this episode as well. But this one, the length really got to me on this one, just because I don't think there's enough there.
Yeah.
Like,
I pretty much just chose this one because it's essential debut of Klingons.
yeah, and I get that, and I'm like, oh, I'm excited to see the Klingons. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no,
Yeah. Yeah, the Klingons didn't take their true form until I don't. They might show up in Wrath of Khan in their new design. I don't remember, but the first time they got like substantial screen time in their new design is
it's just
Christopher Lloyd in The Search for Spock.
It's just funny because, like, all the aliens in the original series, they're either, like, big dumb rubber suits or just somebody in, like, brown face or just somebody, like, in a robe.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm an alien. I'm like, you're just in a robe. What do you mean? You're just a guy in a robe.
Yeah, and that stems from Star Trek's, like, they've got, like, some... I don't know the exact lore behind it because I haven't watched enough of it, but I guess there is, like, some humanoid gods who, like, spread their DNA throughout the galaxy.
It's so fucking funny when people
that's why,
say, like, that Star Trek is, like, the more scientific version of, like, when they're comparing Star Wars and Star Trek. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? If you ever watched Star Trek, a lot of the episodes are like, yeah, I'm a space god, or I'm a ghost, or, oh god, we time traveled because of this big orb.
Yeah, no, Star Trek is as probably soft as sci-fi can come.
Yeah, literally.
It maybe has one or two concepts.
They're like, we're gonna slingshot around the sun to make us time travel. I'm like, what?
Like, it's got some interesting concepts like the warp drive that I feel like have inspired scientists to at least question the, like...
I mean, Star Wars has inspired scientists to go, can we make a lightsaber?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, some of the tech is kind of innovative, but that's about it. That's about as close the hardest edge to the sci-fi that this is going to have. Aside from that, it's basically like, anything can happen in space.
Yeah, which is fine, but it's really annoying when people are like, yeah, it's I'm like, what the fuck are you talking
if they're being
about?
snobs about it, then totally. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah, but like, it's another episode kind of like the Gorn one. It's just like a super technologically advanced race. Like, to the point where they're just like, we're celestial beings.
We're orange of light.
Why are you fighting? We don't need to fight. We had to stop you. So they just stop a war. They're like, nope, we're just not going to let you. Everything's really hot.
Yeah, no, like...
That's all it is. It's just Kirk, like, trying to hide.
I wonder if they got, like, a fork or something. Maybe a spatula if they could have pressed the buttons.
I'm going to hold it with a puppet. Yeah. No, they just make the fork really hot, too.
Well, what if you just
withstand it?
Yeah, I mean, you probably burn. What if you get an oven?
Spock should have just been like, I don't care. It's not logical to feel pain.
There you go. Too bad he was down on the planet. I guess he had the phaser down there, but
it reminds me of the Romulan episode and the Gorn episode kind of combined. I think there's elements of both.
I'd probably say, personally, I think this one's a lot weaker than those two.
Oh, no, me too. I think it's a little rough. I like ideas behind it, but this is probably either a not recommend or a take it or leave it episode.
Yeah. There's better Klingon stuff to be had. In fact, I don't think there's any decent Klingon stories that I can recall from TOS. I think there's one that's okay, where there's like something going on for a while and like the twist is Klingons! And it's like, alright, that was alright, but...
It's like, the Joker!
But yeah. And then the last one we watched is one that is commonly called, like, the best episode of Star Trek. I don't know.
What?
It's like the most
like,
Star Trek
fine.
Yeah,
I thought it had some decent ideas. I like Kirk. I like Kirk's, like, idea, but...
yeah, I don't know.
Like the best of like the original series or just Star Trek?
Typically I hear it when people are talking about the original series.
Because I'm like,
I don't. But probably people who say
it's another time
a lot of
travel
people
episode
who hadn't seen, or probably like some of the people who are like the next generation, and like never bothered to watch the rest of the series. Maybe I don't know. The classic hits.
But it's just another time travel episode. Bones goes fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Why does he go crazy?
So basically, he's got like this medicine that can like hype up your system, and it's like meant to be used
hyperstimulant kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's meant to be used in like very small doses, but the ship goes through some turbulence after
and he stabs himself with the whole thing. That's it.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what happens. So he basically just goes fucking nuts.
He goes crazy. He runs into like the woods.
He transports down onto the planet and runs around and hides. And then while the Enterprise crew away team is looking for him,
they find the big gate.
Yeah, they find the Guardian of Time, I think he's called, or whatever.
The Guardian of Forever.
The Guardian of Forever, yeah. So
does the Guardian of Forever show up in anything else?
I don't think so. Not as far as I know. But yeah, basically, it's just like, I'm a rock that exists on this planet. I'm beyond your comprehension, so don't even begin to ask the logic of how I came to be here. I'm a big archway that you can walk through, and I like play scenes throughout history, specifically Earth history. And yeah, so basically, Bones, he's in his crazy delusional state, runs through the portal, and in which case everybody is like, oh no, the Enterprise is gone, because Bones went into the past and erased the future. And I don't know, like, if it's meant to imply that everything on the planet surface is just in, like, a timeless bubble. Because their scanners still work, even though the Enterprise is gone. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I could maybe buy the fact that, like, their existence is just, like, through some anomaly, they're like, alright, whatever, you can shift over.
It'll take a second.
Yeah, but, like, the fact that their tech is still working, I'm just like, that was the one that made me question it. I'm like, but maybe I'll just allow that this planet surface is meant to be some sort of safe space from any discrepancies in the space-time continuum. But yeah, so basically they use their scanners to approximate where Bones went in time, and they travel back to the year 1930, a week before Bones is slated to show up. And they're basically like, yeah, I guess we'll just try to figure out what Bones did and stop him from doing it. And while they're waiting, they meet this woman whose name I don't remember. But basically...
Edith Keel or something like that.
Yeah, so basically, Kirk slowly falls in love with her because she's got a super optimistic Star Trek view of the future, where she's like, mankind is going to travel to the stars and we're going to get past our want for money and greed, and instead of spending it on wars, we'll spend it on
heroin.
Yeah, and she basically they find 2 articles on this supercomputer.
One where she
Spock
dies.
is building. One where she dies, and one where she gets to meet the president 6 years from where they're at. And basically they find out that she's meant to die, but Bones, when he came back in time, stopped her, and she became a huge peace advocate that basically stopped America from entering World War II.
Yeah, and so the atomic bomb wasn't made by us, and so we lost the war. Yeah. And I really don't like the theme of this because like the Vietnam War was going on, and the idea that you're just going to go like, yeah, we're pretty progressive, and yeah, peace is really good, but sometimes we got to just take a step back and let war happen so we can have peace in the future. Which like I get, but I'm like, you can't do that in the middle of a war. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, not the best theme to be.
When it's like, especially in a war that we had no reason, like it's the Vietnam War.
It'd be one thing if they wanted to like deeply explore this theme or something, but the fact that it's kind of a cliff note to this episode, it just kind of leaves it being like, ugh.
If they had explored this from the very beginning of the episode, I'm like, yeah, I think an hour is enough to have some decently in-depth discussion about it, but it's not.
Yeah.
But they let her die.
And my main reason, or my main question is, why the fuck couldn't they theoretically just take her to the future?
Literally.
Like, they do it later on in episodes in movies, specifically a movie, and they do it, like, they're about to do it with the guy in the last time travel episode. And it's like, why don't you? Why don't you just let Bone save her and go, hey, look, I love you. You want to see the optimistic future? We'll take you there.
Just
against your will, because you can't live, or else you have to die.
Literally.
Like, I'm sure, I mean, obviously, I don't...
It's just weird that, like, Gene Roddenberry seems to have such a big hold on Star Trek the first couple seasons, but everything's so inconsistent.
Well, it's because while he was the creator, you know, there were multiple writers, like D.C. Fontana, one of the big writers.
But still, I'm like, can you just, like, read the script? Can you just be like, hey, this doesn't really go?
I also don't know if they had a Bible for this series. It's kind of... moving forward, they had Bibles that is always like, yeah, here's what's going on in the world. Here's kind of things you have to keep in mind while writing this specific series. Next Generation had one. Deep Space Nine had one. Voyager had one. I'm sure... I think Enterprise had one.
No,
Enterprise had one. It was poorly written, or they just didn't look at it very much.
It was like a children's book.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing with that one, and I don't know if like Discovery or Picard have one. I assume they probably do, but I don't know. But yeah, like it's fine. I'd probably even recommend it.
I think it's like a pretty good episode. I don't like that main theme that they're going for.
I don't like that main theme. I like that Bones is kind of like a wild card in this time travel episode.
He's like, I'm not going to kill you! And he's chasing I'm not going to kill him!
I really wish they could have done more with that, because he basically comes back, chases like one homeless guy, and then like...
And then the stimulant wears off, and he's like, I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
And I like Kirk and Edith together. In general, this episode, I think, actually could be longer. Like,
it could have been a two-parter or something, for sure.
I think some of what they do in the episode takes too long, but, like, in general, there's enough here to be expanded upon. Like, there's storylines for two different characters.
Yeah.
But I'd recommend it. I think it's a pretty good episode. And yeah. That was Star Trek, the original series. That was season 1. Yeah. Or excerpts from season 1.
I don't know if we'll ever talk about any more episodes from the original series on here. I think if we talk about anything TOS related, it'll probably be the motion pictures.
That makes sense.
But we'll probably like talk about some of the other series. I don't think I'll do a season thing. I think I'll just pick good episodes.
Well, also, like, there are like arcs in other series as well.
We could do like the Dominion War or something like that, where we just choose that batch of episodes. But
if I were to give like what I've seen of the original series a rating, I'd probably give it like a 5. I didn't hate it or anything, but it was a little underwhelming from my experience with Star Trek, which is fine.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
My overall rating of like the series as a whole, I think at its highest, it's probably a 6. At its lowest, it's much lower. Much lower.
Like a 3?
Probably like, it can get down to some, like 2s.
Wow.
But I'd probably like, I'd say the majority of it kind of falls into the 5 region. I enjoy it, but I think I'm just kind of fucking...
It's just a comfy show, though.
Yeah, I think I'm just like franchise blind at this point. I'm just like, it's Star Trek.
I thought I kind of was going to be that way. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad that I'm not blinded by, like, my enjoyment of other Star Trek series.
I mean, obviously, I can still acknowledge, I'm like, this episode's kind of shit. Whereas I feel like some Star Trek fans probably wouldn't be able to admit that.
And then there's the part in this episode where he's like, he's Chinese, obviously. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? I'm like, don't fucking say. I knew what they were going for. I'm like, no, don't fucking do it. Because you could have just been like, he's from Switzerland. That would have been funnier, too.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's from Switzerland. But yeah. Okay, so we finished Star Trek, the original series, season 1. Next episode, is it going to be another big one? Because we're trying to get through some stuff to do some more stuff. So we're going to be watching Godzilla from 2014. Kong Skull Island from 2017. Godzilla King of the Monsters from 2019, and Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021.
Wouldn't have even been right. 1963 was
1963. My bad. Came out before Star Trek.
It did. A lot of this stuff did. In fact, I think I've heard people cite the Monster Zero, the one where they fight Ghidorah in space, as a somewhat of an influence on Star Trek, although most people point towards the obvious one, which is I'm blanking on the name. The Lost Planet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do that next week, and then after that, we're going to do some groovy stuff, and then hopefully we'll get a bag episode.
Yeah, we want to get a bag episode in eventually.
If
we'll never
we don't,
get it.
I will make us have a bag episode soon if we don't get one.
Yeah, because the dice, they've been kind to us. They don't want us to suffer the bag.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.